What's going on, y'all? It is KD Capri, the mentor and the mentee, and you're back with another episode, another home edition of the Wealthy and Healthy Podcast, where we talk about all things health, we talk about all things business, right? And today officially is capping off day 2 of the Credit and Entrepreneur Empowerment Challenge, right? For the next 30 days, I will be coming with heat and general conversation every day to where we are just going to be empowering each other. We're going to be teaching each other lessons, right? We're going to be showing each other how to make this bread, right? This is, like I said, coming from an entrepreneur who's in the field every day, trying to make these plays, right? And today I'm gonna be talking about what you're missing in your career, right? What, what is stopping you, right? Like every day I wake up, me personally, I think about what life could become, right? I came from a different background. I had, very limited options, right? Raised by a single mom, with 3 other siblings, right? No family to call on, right? Just coming from where I came from, right? The shelters, the drugs, the alcohol, the gangs, the dropping out, the working to die, right? Just trying to find a good job, right? I found a different type of, I want to say a different, I don't even know how to explain it, right? I want to say just a different type of environment that I knew I had to make it, right? Because, nobody else around me was making it, right? So when we talk about what we're missing, right? It starts with understanding where you're at, right? And you have to understand that nothing is for, no reason, right? God wouldn't put you in these positions if he didn't want to get you out, right? He didn't want to help you build that character. Right. So I really truly believe that this, everything that I went through, all the struggles, coming from, where I came from, it helped me grow my character. Right. So, that what that means is, that's what drives me every day, right? So when I say I'm coming from something, right, it just means that I have a long way to go, right? And that's what drives me every day, right? And what does that mean? That means every day I'm in the pursuit of progression every day, right? That means I learn how to capitalize on every situation, right? In every moment, in every experience, right? That means I never wanted to stop going, right? Because not only do you have to start somewhere, right? But you have to know which journey you want to take, right? We got to navigate our own, our own future, right? We got to navigate our time, right? Um, and we focus too much on the money, right? I said a little bit about this. I talked a little bit about this last episode. We focus too much on the money. We focus too much on the Facebook ads. So it all starts with you understanding what type of journey you're ready to take, right? And understanding how to navigate through your future, right? Like I said, we focus too much on being in the pursuit of money, right? People in the gym focus on the gym more than the diet, right? People in the kitchen might be worried more about the food than the bartender working the bar, right? So that's just something that we have to understand when we talk about, when we talk about creating wealth, right? So I want to talk about a few things, right? I want to talk about 3 reasons why you're unhappy or why, you're not living life to the fullest and you just feel stuck, right? And I know because I've been through it, right? I know because I took the time to, just kind of rebrand myself, recraft myself, right? Downgrading to upgrade, right? Or, upgrading to fit the image, right? So everything I've done it, right? So the first reason, right, is you don't know your place in in your entrepreneurial setting, right, in entrepreneurial culture, right? What culture do you want to be in, right? And deep down, you just don't know what as entrepreneurs, right? And everybody has an inner entrepreneur, right? As an entrepreneur, we always want to do certain things, right? I might want to do, like, I know when I first started out, I wanted to do a clothing line, right? But I also wanted to start in credit, right? And I also wanted to do a drop shipping store, and I also wanted to do a recording studio, right? I was in the music, I'm still in the music. But what how I landed on credit and financial literacy was, it was just something that I knew and I was so intrigued in, right? And I was so ready to learn about, right? So when we talk about, understanding your place in an entrepreneurial setting, in an entrepreneurial culture, right? You have to understand what you do in your sleep that makes that, let me think about it. Okay, so you have to think about, I want you to think about it like this, right? What do you do in your sleep that you want to do when you wake up? right? So what do you do in your sleep that you want to do when you wake up, right? What can you do with the snap of a finger with your eyes closed that you think about when you wake up in the morning, right? What do people come to you about the most for advice, right? Like what value do you deliver, right? Think about that every single time you want to question yourself in an entrepreneur setting, right? Where are you going, right? What type of entrepreneur, what type of business owner do you want to be, right? Because like I talked about last episode, and we talk about empower. I just ate Cheetos, yo, my hands are a little red. But when we talk about empowering entrepreneurs, right, and we talk about empowering through credit and through mindset, right, we have to talk about opening businesses, right? We have to talk about acquiring businesses. We have to talk about becoming asset owners. Okay. So the first reason is you don't know your place in an entrepreneurial culture. That's the first reason why you're unhappy or you don't know where you're going, right? You just feel stuck, right? The second reason, and hold on, I want to back up a little bit, right? Because when we talk about, entrepreneurial cultures, right? You have to know what value you're going to deliver, right? If I'm delivering value to an older audience, right? Say I'm delivering value to couples, right? Or married couples, right? Maybe even older married couples. That's maybe like my niche might be older married couples over 35, right? Or married couples with kids or things like that, right? And I start to niche down, right? I have to understand what I can deliver to understand my place in the culture, right? So becoming your new self, it might seem so far away, but it's not, right? That's one of the biggest reasons I see now and today to why people don't get into entrepreneurship or why they're not happy in their career or they're not happy in their job because that new self or that, that self that the future self that you've seen or, that you may have dreamed about, you think it's so far away, right? You think it's 10, 15, 20 years down the line. It's not, right? It's not that far away. Okay. So think about that every time you think about what your place is in entrepreneurship, right? All right, let's move on to the second reason, right? The second reason is you don't know how to make the transition, right? Are you feeling like so stuck because you just don't know? Like you're asking yourself, like, can I quit my job right now? Like, or you're telling yourself, like, I can't afford to quit my job right now, right? You're also telling yourself, like, I don't know if I'm going to be willing to take this risk, right? It's too much, right? What's the price tag? That is automatically going to, cut you out before you're even in, right? We all heard the saying, you miss 100% of the shots that you never take, right? So when you ask yourself, oh, what is the price, right? Don't ask yourself what is the price for it. Ask yourself what is the price to stay where you're at, right? You're asking yourself, can I quit my job right now? What you need to be asking yourself is how can I juggle a side hustle right now? Right? What you need to be asking, you're asking yourself, am I willing to take this risk? What you need to be asking yourself is, what does it cost to stay where I'm at? Right? And then you're asking yourself, what is the price tag? What you need to be asking yourself is, what does the end of the road look like? AKA, what does that return on investment look like? What does that ROI look like? Right? If that's not what God had planned for me, then I'm gonna move on to the next opportunity. Right? But life is all about opportunities, and it really comes down to the opportunities that you take and the opportunities that you leave behind, right? So it's a mindset thing, right? That's going to be one of the biggest reasons why you don't think you can succeed or you don't know how to make that transition, right? You are not happy in your career because you don't know how to make the transition into becoming something else, right? And like I said, if it seems so far away, right? If it seems so far away and you don't know how to get there, right? It's a mindset thing. Because all you have to do is learn how to get there. There was a point in time where you didn't know how to walk. Now every day you don't even think about, oh, how am I gonna walk? You don't think about that, right? You just wake up and your body moves the way it moves, right? So it's a mindset thing, right? The third reason is you don't know how to leverage your credit. You don't know how to leverage your credit is gonna be probably the biggest thing, right? I see people, they always get to the point where they're like, man, I'm ready to start my business, but I gotta wait till I get my check to be able to pay for the mentorship. Wrong answer, right? Because when like you have to know how to leverage your credit, right? You don't know how to leverage your credit and you don't know what credit can do for you, right? So you don't care to even learn about it. So you don't care to tend to it, right? But what I have to say to you is credit is a relationship, right? What kind of relationship do you have with credit? Credit has to do with your finances. Credit has to do with your household, right? Credit has to do with your expenses and your bills, right? So, what kind of relationship do you have with credit? If you have a healthy relationship with your finances, with your bills, with your banks, with your relationship managers, right? You're most likely going to have good credit, right? 9 times out of 10, right? So, what relationship do you have with credit? What do the lenders need from you is what you need to be asking yourself, right? Because you're asking for funding, you're asking for money, or you're asking them to hold your money and keep it safe, right? In the case of a checking or a savings account or a Roth or a 401k, right? Um, but what do lenders need from you, right? So you have to start understanding what credit can do for you, right? Once you start to, and these it's not hard to learn, right? You spend more time training at a job at Walmart and going to school to be a doctor than it learns to get rich, than it takes to learn how to get rich, right? You just have to understand the basics and what credit can do and how you can leverage it, right? It's all about the leverage, right? So what do lenders need from you? What do they want to see when they look at your credit report, right? What do they want to see when they look at your payment history, right? And what I want to break down is we have the power. Empowering the consumer creates entrepreneurs. Okay, so when people understand how to leverage credit and when they understand how to make it work for them, this is what creates entrepreneurs, right? So leverage your credit to create income and assets, not debt and liabilities, meaning use your credit to create businesses, use your credit card to pay for assets or to acquire assets and not liabilities and debt, right? Don't buy debt, right? You can get debt for free. Okay, so don't buy debt, right? And don't go buying another job. You can get a job for free, right? So it's all about your relationship that you have with credit, right? It's all about your relationship that you have with your finances, with your wallet, with your bank account, with your banker, right? So when you understand how to leverage your credit and you understand how to make it work for you, when you start to understand what your place is in an entrepreneurial culture, right? And whatever entrepreneurial type of culture you want to get into, right? And once you add that on to changing your mindset, and once you add it into, making that transition, actually taking the jump and taking the risk, right? This is what is going to create a a healthy and a fruitful future for your career, right? So this is what you want to start thinking about, man. Like I said, this is the credit and entrepreneur empowerment segment of this year, right? So we have to start empowering ourselves. We have to start understanding we have the power. Empowering I want everybody to write this down. Empowering the consumer creates entrepreneurs, right? So, today is about empowering yourself. Today is about learning something today, right? So learn about your credit, learn what your place is in an entrepreneur in a business setting, right? And understand how to make that transition, right? Because we're all in different places, but we all go through transitions in life, right? So, find your place in the entrepreneurial setting in a business mindset and, start to leverage your credit, right? And things are going to start to look crazy. Things are going to start to go up, right? And in all 2025, we're going up. All right, you guys, so that officially wrapped up the second episode of the Credit and Entrepreneur Empowerment Challenge. For the next 30 days, I'm going to be dropping a video every single day, empowering the consumer and empowering the entrepreneur, right? So if you're looking to learn about credit, if you're looking to understand why credit was so gatekept, right? How to understand, and you want to understand why and the biggest myths and misconceptions and how to make credit, your leverage, right? I want you guys to click the link below, right? It is a $10 ebook. You're going to learn so much from this ebook. I personally wrote it myself, and this is my journey about, learning about what credit is, what it isn't, right? So this is a huge book when you want to talk about your introduction to credit, right? So if you're looking to, start your introduction to learning about credit, right, click the link below, right? If you also want to learn about debt, I want you guys to click the link below for the debt-free guide. This debt is going to be the best $47 you've ever spent, right? You're going to learn about notice a tender. You're going to learn about how to cancel your debt. You're going to learn about how to validate your debt, right? You're going to learn how to fight the bureaus. You're going to learn everything that you need to know when it comes to becoming debt free in 2025, right? Also, if you guys need to pull your credit report, right, because we all know that's where it starts, right? You got to know what's on your credit report to know how to attack it, right? If you are looking to, just start your credit repair journey and you need to pull your credit report, click the link below. You can get a 7-day trial for free on my free score now. And we all trying to get rich in 2025. So let's get all them late payments, let's get them bankruptcies, let's get all that taken off your credit, right? So click the link below. You guys are going to learn so much this next 30 days, and I'm gonna be here.